is there any room in Plato for grace? Does it have to be strictly an educational
Grace.
process, which almost to me means almost a mechanical process?
That's what a method is. It's reduced to some kind of what appears to be mechanical. That's right. That's right.
That's why I am crossing it.
That's right.
Any room for grace.
That's right.
This is a
Oh, that's right.
mechanical.
Yeah, this is like it. This is an intellectual yoga.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Only it's intellectual rather than mechanical, but it's the same idea. Same idea. That's right.
So there isn't any
Yeah,
grace.
at the end there is grace when it gets into that higher state. What you call it?
Well, you have to mechanically, apparently.
Yeah. He has an idea. It's not here though. He has the idea of providence. That plays a role of grace. But here he's talking about the training of the soul to reach into each of these functions, and since he can define each one, he thinks you can actually experience each one of these, and it's worth training the soul to experience each one of them. That's what he's doing. At other places he does have the idea of providence, which is an idea of grace. Yeah, but not here. This is a training ground. It's a very strict contemplative technique. Yeah.
Oh, what causes people to be in that bottom stage?
Well, of course, you're very good at asking the best questions. That's the real question, isn't it? That's right. That's right. They can't see one another. They can't see themselves. All they see is reflections of themselves, shadows. They also see above that parapet, raised wall, raised platform, men, but they cannot be seen because there's a wall separating them, and they carry these images. The light behind casts these images equally well on the wall of the cave.
I don't mean the question like that.
Well, I'm going to translate it for you
Oh, okay.
in order to keep it going, all right? Because I thought if I could relate it back to the allegory of the cave, then we can do 2 to 1. All right. These things, he says, come and go, pass. He calls it the visible world. We are taught that the visible world is our reality. That's the first step. If you accept the visible world to be the reality, that belief will keep you chained. Next, all right? These images are images of man that are cast on the wall of the cave. Therefore, if we accept these images of man as our ideals, that will keep us fixed. There are men that walk back and forth that talk to one another, and their voices bounce off the wall of the cave, and it appears to be animating these very voices. So therefore, these men have a voice, and the prisoners, called prisoners, believe these voices to be the images they believe to be real, have voices, and these voices are nothing other than these men who talk back and forth to one another. So what? Later he talks about the poets and the people who go from town to town giving performances of both rhetoric as well as the tragedies and Homer, and they have images of man. The men who carry these images talk to one another, which these men believe are really being animated from the wall of the cave. Homer has an ideal of man which is taught. Number 1. He then, in book 2, he says also families have their own particular traditions, and they have an ideal which they obviously inculcate into their own families. Society has its images, ideals. The acceptance of these ideals as real is what locks you up in the cave. Fourth, the honors that can be awarded for people who are skilled in understanding and manipulating the visible world, the honors and the rewards they give, so long as they are thought to be significant and worthwhile, to that degree, that's a chain. These are the 4 chains. These are what binds men. Put it in modern terms, religious views, certain religious views bind men. Certain family beliefs rob them of their vitality and their higher goals. Certain society ideals keep men down, don't allow them to develop maximally. Right? Being attracted to the rewards and the values produced by our culture as rewards for people who can manipulate and maintain and control the visible world. So long as you consider those to be significant, that will trap you. These are the 4 things.
Well, does that mean that it is just the nature of the visible world that these chains will appear? In a sense, using that word mechanical again.
Yeah, there is something, you're quite right, there is something about this visible world that makes us think it's real. Got to be real.
And I'm saying it's not like these 4 chains are some kind of conspiratorial conspiracy.
Oh, no.
One can disagree with religion, but the fact is that I respect religions enough that they are seriously struggling with a hard question and are trying to respond to it the best they can.
Oh, sure. The only question in this is whether or not these beliefs block someone who wants to explore and get into the mind. Because these produce beliefs which at certain times and circumstances can restrict one's ability, or certainly can restrict one's desire to achieve. Certainly does that, doesn't it? Certain of them, at certain times.
My sister used to wonder why I was searching. She says, all you have to do is believe. Our church gives you all the beliefs you need. She can understand why I was searching, because the beliefs were sufficient.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
She believed if you believed you had the Holy Spirit, you had it.
Okay.
So
that's a belief that will keep her where she is. See, we're not saying that these people are wrong. We're saying that if you're interested in developing the mind for this kind of vision, then you have to then take a look at what's blocking your own intellectual progress towards this higher vision. If it takes an intellectual contemplation, then the mind has to be and match that intellectual process. Therefore, it has to examine all of its beliefs and why it holds what it does to be true, and it must therefore shift its goals accordingly. It's not religion. It's not what we would call religion. Though this is very clearly a spiritual tradition, but it's not a religion. If you make the distinction between religion and spiritual traditions, a religion is what binds people together into some kind of a community, usually based upon some belief. A spiritual tradition is different from that because it espouses the need to reach higher stage of consciousness, and it doesn't depend upon primary beliefs as the